first. Okay. And then we'll do the
gallery view.
Yep.
There you go.
Okay.
All right. We're going to do it this way. We're going to record it and post it, and then
Okay.
I don't know what the problem is, but so it goes.
Everything happens for a reason. So
Yeah, there you go. Good way to reframe the situation. So, all right. So welcome.
Honey.
I'm just trying it one more time because I have ADHD and I can't stop myself from pressing buttons.
Okay.
So anyway, so welcome, Dr. Joe.
So I can see.
Okay, we're really excited to have you. Okay.
I'm having so much fun already. Just
Watching me squirm.
Okay. Well,
Watching-
welcome everyone. We're sorry that this was not done live. As usual, we have some technical issues, but it's not going to overcome what should be an awesome interview with Dr. Joseph Schrand, otherwise known as Dr. Joe to the many masses out there, right?
Dr. Joe.
Coming to us live from Massachusetts, right, Dr. Joe?
Cheers to
I
Dr.
am
Joe.
here. Nice to see you guys. I'm so thrilled.
Welcome.
I feel like I should say that this is just vodka, but it's not. But
That'd be
All
a mighty
right.
big glass of vodka. So,
Yeah.
And if you've got more to do tonight, you might want to leave
Yeah.
it in water.
good point.
For those of you out there who don't know, Dr. Joe is the Chief Medical Officer at the Riverside Community Care Hospital in Dedham, Massachusetts. He's a lecturer of psychiatry at Harvard College.
Oh, I've heard of that.
Where her daddy went.
Yeah,
and
my dad went
her
there.
brother-in-law went. He is the founder of the Drug Story Theater, the host of a radio show and podcast, not coincidentally titled The Dr. Joe Show. He has 4 books published, another one coming out this fall. And that's not the biggest accomplishment, you don't think, though, is it?
No, there's no way that you could ever top when I found out that Dr. Joe was one of the kids on Zoom. One of my favorite shows growing up in Massachusetts. I watched it all the time, and that show was fabulous. And when I heard, I saw all your accomplishments, I was like, yeah, he seems like a cool guy. And then when I found out you were on Zoom and you were Joe from Zoom, it changed it all for me right there.
Thank you,
She
Julie.
was like flipping out. When
I
we
was
heard-
flipping
I
out.
heard we were going to talk to you. She said, "Oh, Zoom." I'm like,
Zoom,
what the heck is
on
Zoom?
There it is.
Yeah.
Good. That's
There we
it.
go.
Thank
I
you.
have to sing that silly song before we're done. But
I love it. And it's been happening more and more because everyone is doing Zoom these days,
Yes.
all these. So I've been getting emails and posts everywhere saying, I can't get the song out of my head.
yeah.
And for those of you who are watching, I don't know if can you see that picture
Yeah.
I was
back?
wondering what
Yes,
that was. Actually.
that's you back in the days of Zoom.
That's me. That's Joe.
Yes,
I'm
I
Joe.
love that.
Were you
I
doing the
love that.
splits in that photograph, or?
Yeah, I was about, a lot smaller, younger,
That was
more limbo.
Mr. Rogers and Zoom were my 2 favorite shows. And in fact, they used to do fundraisers, and they would say things like, if you don't give money, then these shows might not be able to be brought to you. So I would beg my parents to send in money. They did a good job because I was afraid they would take the shows away. So I remember that.
Thank you. Just, it's almost 50 years, and many of us are still closely in touch. We
No kidding.
chat with each other a lot. We had a reunion just a few years ago. Christopher Sarson, who is the creator of Zoom, is living in New Zealand. He and I are in touch probably every week or so.
Oh, that's so
Very
cool.
nice.
So you had an interesting start in your life, obviously, as being sort of like a celebrity on Zoom, being a kid celeb. And then how did you decide to go into psychiatry?
My mother was an actress. My father was a pediatrician. So those were the only 2 things I was going to be able to do in life. My mother actually was an actress on WGBH as well, The Spider's Web, Frances Schrand and The Spider's Web, which is a big radio show.
Oh,
But
wow.
then I had a career in theater. I had my equity card. I had a small theater company after I graduated college. I went back to New York and I started working as a writer for CARE, like the International Aid and Development Organization, and wound up being a fundraiser for them. Got a big grant from Rotary International for a program in Belize, Central America. And I went down there to sort of report on it. And I realized that I was doing medicine wholesale. I was doing medicine for people that I would never meet personally. And I decided I wanted to do this personally. So I went back to medical school. I actually hadn't gone to medical school. I did my pre-med first at Columbia and then at Harvard, and then went to medical school in Cincinnati. And it was in 1982 when I was doing my pre-med stuff that I had to take physics. You guys still awake?
Yeah.
Yeah. Whenever I say
physics, but keep
my
going.
dad's a physicist. The Harvard guy is a physicist.
go.
I know
There you
about
go.
physics. Yeah.
Okay. But because whenever I say physics, people immediately fall asleep. But
Yeah.
in
it's
physics,
okay.
the
We're good.
symbol capital I stands for potential current. And I thought, well, what if we just flip it upside down and we call it a current potential? And we look at everyone at a maximum current potential, doing the best they can at every moment in time with the potential to change in the very next second. And we are influenced by 4 domains: our home domain, the social domain, which is the rest of the world. Those 2 domains are outside. The 2 internal domains, the biological domain of your brain and body. Am I hungry? Am I tired? Am I digesting my lunch? Am I on medicines? And then what I call the I see domain. How do I see myself? How do I think other people see me? Human beings are very interested in what other people think or feel. We call that empathy. But look, what we really want to know, come on, what are you thinking about me? That's what drives us.
Yeah.
So the I am approach, it's now called the I am approach, is the subject of my next book that's coming out in September. It has been part of my career as a psychiatrist for those 40 years, because I really think in our heart of hearts, we all want the same thing. We just want to feel valued by somebody else. Think about every person you've ever met in your life. That's the common thread that binds us. We just want to feel valued by someone. And what's cool is at every and any moment in time, you can remind someone of their value.
Right.
And whenever you remind someone of their value, you increase your own value.
So I want to
That's
ask you a
true.
little bit about sort of the baseline for all of this, and turn the clock back just a little bit to the prior book, the one that just was re-released not that long ago, and that's where you're talking about anger. Yeah. So
Yeah.
and we focus a lot on relationships and couples and what goes on, and we have our own way of looking at things. But I'd be interested to know, tell the folks a little bit about this concept of outsmarting anger, and also how that might apply in a couples type relationship.
Absolutely, happy to. So outsmarting anger is based on this very simple observation. When is the last time you got angry at someone who was treating you with respect?
Give me an example. What does that mean exactly?
No, you tell me. When's the last time you got angry at someone who was treating you with respect?
And someone who was speaking,
Treating you with.
you got angry at them anyway.
No, did you? Did you ever get angry at someone who was treating you with respect? Think
No.
about it.
No.
Probably
Exactly.
No, because
That's right.
You're diffusing anger with respect.
Yes, because anger is an emotion designed to change something. We get angry when we want somebody to do something different. Start doing something, start doing something. Think about all the times you've been angry. Really just think about it. You've wanted to see something different.
Yeah.
But being respected feels great. So our brain doesn't activate anger. I believe that has the same reliability as gravity. Apples don't fall up, and the brain doesn't activate anger when it feels respected. This is how we outsmart anger.
Right.
Because the book has 7 steps,
Right.
7 strategies.
Mhm.
Okay. But ultimately, it's not just an anger management book about your anger.
Mhm.
If anger is an emotion designed to change things, very often it's somebody else's anger that's going to get in the way of your success. So this book is how to manage other people's anger.
So that's where we get into this concept, right, of recognize. A couple of them stuck out to me. Recognizing rage.
Yep. Recognize rage. First step. Yep.
Talk a little bit about that.
Okay.
No, he doesn't want to.
I'm just curious. Why? There you go. Why did that one stick out to you? Recognize rage.
I thought it was I thought it was an interesting concept, and because she's always angry at me, I thought it'd be
No.
Not really. No.
He might have, that one might have stuck out because he's what I would call a little bit of a reactor. you know, like
Hmm.
a quick reactor in some ways. And I always tell my like push his patience button, like, you know
My
what I'm
shoulder
saying?
hurts.
Like we were when this Facebook Live wasn't working, I was like, okay, I'm gonna work on it. Whatever. He's getting all antsy, he's having a reaction. So I think for him, maybe that was like,
Yeah.
you know,
It sticks out. That's great.
so,
And recognition is a part of your brain that's right behind your forehead. So if you guys just audience participation mode, put your hand on the forehead. Right behind there is your prefrontal cortex. Put your hand down. Thank you very much. Audience participation moment. That's the part of the brain responsible for thinking, for solving problems, for executing a plan, and for anticipating what will happen next. It's the rational part of our brain. It's actually arguably the most modern part of our brain in terms of evolution. But deep, deep inside our brain is something called the limbic system, a complex collection of brain parts responsible for irrational thought, for anger, for emotions, for impulses, for pleasure, for memory. It happens to be the part of the brain where addictions live. We can talk about that later. But it's the limbic part of your brain. How many times have you done something impulsively, limbically, and slapped your forehead as if you're trying to jumpstart your prefrontal cortex? Like, what was I thinking?
right. What was I
Right?
thinking? Yep.
Mhm.
Yep.
So one of the things about outsmarting anger, keep it frontal, don't go limbic.
Mm-hmm.
We have to keep shifting to the frontal lobe. And that's why the first step is to recognize rage. Recognition is a thinking function. We can now recognize this feeling that we have. And the first thing you do is recognize it and say, what do I want to see different? Anger is an emotion designed to change things. What do I want to see different?
Mm-hmm. So this is great because we're sitting here, you know, David and I are sipping on a cocktail and we're very relaxed and whatever. But like if when you're in the moment and, you know, the other systems start to like take over, isn't it very difficult to, oh, I am feeling angry or this person is feeling angry? And
Oh, it takes practice, Julie. Absolutely. It takes a little practice, but it is much more important to be reflective than reflexive. It is much more important to wonder than to worry,
Mhm,
right? Why? Okay, I feel this. Yep, yeah, I'm angry.
mhm,
Now, what I ask people to do in the book is to actually come up with a scale between 0 and 10.
mhm.
Come up with different words, 10 words for anger. You know, I mean, think about it. Give me a couple of extra words for anger,
Frustration,
Mad,
right? Frustration,
irritation,
mad, right?
hys-
Right,
hysteria
right?
can be an anger function, I guess.
Exactly. So you come up with your scale
yeah,
between 0 and 10. And, you know, you may be like sort of irritated if somebody cuts
yeah,
you in line, but you may be postal,
yeah,
you know, if something really, really bad happens that you absolutely need to change, like somebody's, you know, robbed your house or something, right? So you put your scale together.
yeah.
Anything over a 5 on your scale increases the risk for aggression. Aggression is the enactment of anger. Remember, there's nothing wrong with anger. It's what you do with it that matters.
Mhm.
Some of the most important social changes in our lives have come about because of anger. It's happening right now in our world.
Sure.
There's a lot of anger in the world. Go ahead.
Talk about
Absolutely.
us personally.
Yeah.
She would tell you that, yes, I'm reactive. Yes, I can
Mhm.
jump, but that also is a positive. When folks in my family have problems with someone, guess who they're calling? They're not calling the social worker so much.
They're calling.
So, but
they're
yeah,
calling
so I
David
understand
'cause
exactly what you're talking
yeah.
about. Yeah.
Right. And go on. Do you want to say something, Julie?
Yeah, so one of the things as you sit here and sort of talk about it is it's also a perspective kind of thing. And when I work with my clients, I will say, is this a big problem or a little problem? You know, sort of like, okay, a big problem would be you don't have food, or, you know, like you said, somebody robbed your house, and a little problem is mostly probably the things that we're, you know, talking about, like getting cut off in line or losing, you know, something that you liked or something like that. So it's a lot of, you're asking people to do some perspective work.
Absolutely. And when I ask people to do perspective work as well, I ask them to do this particular exercise, another audience participation moment. Maybe you will do it with me. So if you just take your index finger and just look at your index finger and close one eye. close one eye and open it and close the other one and go back and forth. What do you notice?
It moves.
What-
My finger's moving.
That's right. Your finger moves because each of your eyes has a slightly different geographic location of the world,
Yeah.
a slightly different perspective. There are billions of perspectives in the world.
Yeah.
How do we get someone to share that perspective with us if they're angry?
Mhm.
They're not going to.
Right.
So one of the things we need to do is this: close both eyes and count to 3.
So
Go on.
audience participation thing.
Yeah.
It is audience participation moment. Close both eyes and count to 3.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
So that's trust, right? I mean, granted, you know each other, but you can open your eyes. It's more than 3. But
I had one a little eye open because I don't.
Her eyes are closed, you know, she doesn't know exactly what I might
There you
have accomplished.
Yeah.
So I give this talk sometimes hundreds of people in a lecture house, and I'll say that's trust, because you don't know whether I'm not, don't really know me. You don't know the person next to you that they're going to jump around. How do we get people to trust us?
Yeah.
How do we get them to trust us? And that's what the 7 steps are about.
Mhm.
You recognize rage, then you figure out, why am I angry? Am I envious of someone? Envision envy. Do I think someone has more than me and they're going to try to do something?
Right.
Sense suspicion. Do I think someone is trying to take something from me? I mean, maybe they think that I have more than them, and I get suspicious they're going to try to take something from me. We want to have some equality in the world, and we get envious if someone has more, which makes us angry and suspicious if we think someone's trying to take from us. But here's the thing: if my brain is doing it, everyone's brain is doing it. This is part of who we are as humans. So those first 3 steps, recognize rage, envision envy, and sense suspicion, are about your own anger management.
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
And then the next 4 steps are about how you manage somebody else's anger.
Mhm.
Yeah, let's shift to that a little bit
Yeah.
before we move on to the new. Yeah, talk a little bit about that part, because that's where you started this discussion, was not just your own feelings, but sensing it in others.
Yeah. So anger is an emotion designed to change things. So the first thing you do when someone is angry is don't get angry. Instead, project peace.
Mhm. Mhm.
We have this remarkable part of our brain called mirror neurons, where we mirror other people's emotions.
Right.
You go to a movie, you see someone sad or crying, you may get sad. You see someone happy, you get happy. You can see someone anxious, you get anxious. We mirror other people. Your mirror neurons are going to be activated by that angry person, and you could get angry. But now that you know about them, you can overcome that and project peace and begin activating the peaceful mirror neurons in that other person's brain.
Right. So like if someone's yelling, you speak quieter.
Yeah, speak quieter, but you're not going to be sort of condescending, like, why are you angry? I mean, no, we really want to know. I
Yeah.
recognize you're angry. Are you envious of me, suspicious of me? I don't know. So I'm going to then engage empathy.
Mhm.
Empathy is based on this remarkable function called theory of mind.
Mhm.
We can't see someone's mind, so we have to guess.
Right.
What are they thinking? We theorize.
Mhm.
It's a terrible scientific clunky term, but it really is just trying to say, I can't see your mind, so I need to theorize and guess what you think or feel.
Right.
So
I
we engage.
I am a little envious that you were on Zoom and I wasn't, but that's okay.
Right.
It's all right.
And now it's okay. And now I'm suspicious that you're just going to cut me off and like do something,
Right.
But I'm cool. My mirror neurons are active and I'm projecting.
And
Yeah.
the trading thanks part.
Yes.
Talk a little about
First, I will, if I can get to exactly what you're asking first, which is communicating.
that. Yes.
Mhm.
I then communicate clearly. I engage empathy. I communicate clearly. I want you to just try another audience participation moment number.
I'm good.
Go ahead.
I can do it.
Say these words exactly. I am having lasagna for dinner.
I am having lasagna for dinner.
Now say the exact same words, the exact same sequence, but as a question.
I am having lasagna for dinner.
Great. Now as a demand.
I'm having lasagna for dinner.
I'm having lasagna for dinner.
There you go. Now
Tone.
as a seduction.
Oh, I'm having lasagna for dinner.
There you go. Look at that, right?
We need to cut you off, Dr. Joe.
Yeah, whoa.
Things just took a good turn.
We'll be right
Thank you
back.
so much. Right? We'll be right back. Gotta
Won't
have
be
some
long.
dinner. Right. But just think about that.
No,
The
and yeah,
right?
and the tone in which you speak to somebody.
Yes.
We talk about that in our book. We have, it's not what you say, it's how you say it.
Exactly right. Exactly right. It's not what you say, it's how you say it.
Yeah.
So we communicate clearly, and then then we trade thanks.
Okay, so what does the trade thanks look like? Give me an example of that.
So what's happened, right? We've projected peace, we've engaged empathy, we've communicated, and now I want to say, thank you for telling me why you're angry.
Okay.
I really, really appreciate that. Thank you. 90% of the time in our culture, when somebody says thank you, what does the other person say?
You're welcome.
Exactly. You're welcome.
Mhm.
You are not part of my tribe, right? I'm not envious of you. I'm not suspicious of you. You are welcome.
Mhm.
That's what we have to do. Whenever we show gratitude to someone,
Mhm.
we are reminding them that they're a benefactor and increasing their value.
Yep.
Now, I like acronyms. Sorry, go on.
Yeah. So I'm taking all this in, and
Yeah.
you wrote this book to understand anger, but so much of this is related to relationships and couples and can be used like as couples work, correct?
Absolutely, absolutely. And that is one of the main reasons that I wrote this. And I'll get personal for a moment. So my parents were not happily married.
Mhm.
Right? My parents had a terrible divorce. My mother always used to say she was a divorcee, but always wanted to be a widow. Okay? Which is a great line. But so as I was growing up, and I had Zoom, right, which got me out of the house, which was a blessing. I had, went to a good school. I really enjoyed things. I had great friends, but I knew when I was a kid, I was not going to have that same sort of marriage.
Yeah.
I was not going to engage with that sort of degree of conflict.
Mhm.
So I got very lucky and met someone, Carol, in 1978. We were both camp counselors. About 9 years later, we got married because we didn't want to rush into anything. But what we've done as a couple is use these techniques, but we use a lot of humor.
Yeah.
Sure.
We use humor because that just is so easy to diffuse things. But what's the technique is we really listen.
Mhm.
It's an honor, it's a privilege to have someone that cares about you so much and to value that.
Yeah, one of the things that I like to say and came out in the book is that we talk a lot about how people learn or should learn from their mistakes, but the other side of it is that people should also learn from their successes and applying what you're talking about. And I think that's a growth thing and a learning thing in any relationship. But if it works, apply it more to other aspects of your relationship or your life and so forth. I think it's very interesting. We were looking at different issues from different places. Sorry for the dogs. I told you that.
No, it's great.
That's inevitable.
Great.
You have Lucy over there that's being very good.
That's inevitable.
She's being really good. Wait till she says all sorts of weird
There's birds, foxes, and all sorts of things roaming around back there. So they're barking. So let's turn for a little bit because I want to talk to you about the new book.
Okay.
And tell us a little bit about that and how, where does that differ? Where does it diverge from the last one?
So Outsmarting Anger lays the foundation really for the next book. And again, with the I am approach, it's all about respect. We worry as human beings that we're just not good enough. That we should be doing better. We spend a lot of time worrying about that. And I think it really doesn't need to be that way. In psychiatry, in medicine in general, we have this concept of sickness and illness and pathology. And we treat people because we want to fix that. If you really understand theory of mind, what are we really doing? We're communicating to someone that we see them as broken. We don't mean to,
Mhm.
but then we're astonished that we have things like stigma.
Right.
We're astonished that we have treatment resistance. We're astonished that people don't want to come out and say something because they fear that they will be judged as less valuable. This value thing is so important to us as human beings. This has deep, deep evolutionary roots. Millions of years ago, we weren't the biggest animal. We weren't the strongest animal. We weren't the fastest animal. We were these isolated mammals scurrying around, hoping not to be lunch. We were prey. We were prey. And then we formed these small social groups. And our survival potential has increased so dramatically, human beings are everywhere.
Right.
But to access the protection of that group, you have to contribute to that group, which means you have to have value. And when we start thinking other people see us as less valuable, we get limbic. We get angry, anxious, or sad because we are afraid that we will be kicked out of our group and be lunch. So the I am is saying, that's an I am. That makes sense. We are always adapting. But I believe we're always doing the best we can at this moment in time. But if you don't like it,
I do.
you can change it.
Right.
Here are the 4 domains. You can change it. You don't have to like your I am. You don't have to condone it. It's not a free ride. Just because it's the best you can do at that moment doesn't mean you're not going to be held responsible.
Right.
Because everything you do has a natural consequence. It doesn't even mean you're going to be successful. And for some people, success is when you love going to work and love going home.
Yeah, that's a great one.
For some people, success is having food in the refrigerator. For some people, success is having a home to have a refrigerator. For some people, success is just being able to wake up and get through the day. And you will find that success changes every day for you. Your success changes. When you reach one success, another success will come on the horizon. But instead of judging ourselves as less than and broken, not doing as well as we can, should be doing better, let's look again at why we do what we do based on the influence of those 4 domains that I talked about: home, social, biological, IC. I want you to just reverse these words. Look again. Again, look. Again, to repeat something. Look like a spectator. Let's respect why people do what they do without judging them. And when is the last time you got angry at someone treating you with respect?
Never.
Respect is what leads to value.
So I mean, this is great. I mean, it's just makes, so much sense. So how do you work this in your practice? I mean, you're a psychiatrist. I assume that you're giving medication out. I assume that you're, which is kind of saying your brain is not, working properly.
No, not at all. Not at all.
What
not
do you?
At all. So I show them the I am logo, right? And there's a logo. It's a round logo. I could share my screen and show it to you. But what I say is, because the 4 domains interconnect, a small change can have a big effect. You don't have to change everything. When I add a medicine, all I'm doing is making a small change in the biological domain. I change the environment of those brain cells. I'm going to change the response. There's nothing broken.
Okay.
There is no sickness. You change an environment, you change a response. We know this in our own lives. When the environment changes outside from cold to hot, we wear different clothes.
Sure.
It's not broken.
Right.
It's change. We are adapting. So it is critical when I prescribe a medication for people to understand that. So they all see the I am logo, they go through it, and they realize the 2 truths. Small changes have big effects, but the second, you control no one. You influence everyone. You get to choose the kind of influence you want to be. Everyone's got an I am.
Yeah.
Everyone's interested in what you think about them through their IC domain, which has an effect on their biological domain, because it feels differently when you feel respected or disrespected. And you're part of someone's home and social domain. You control no one. You influence everyone.
Let's shine a light. Let's take this and shine a light on a particular circumstance. All right. A couple comes to you, married couple or not, just a couple that has a child together. 8, 9, 10-year-old child. Issues in terms of behavioral issues, whatever it may be. You know, there's a universe of things that we could come up with. And there's a discussion about medication for that child. And you have one parent, right, who feels strongly, we need to give her the help she needs. This is going to help. And then you have the other parent who looks at it very differently, that she's still developing, she's young, and I don't want to do that. I don't want to mess with her brain. How's it going to affect her? Now, how do you take this I am approach and use it in that type of a circumstance and explain to those parents what you're trying to do, if in fact you think medication is an answer for this child?
Okay, so that's really an important if. So let's say that I in assessment working with the kid, because the kid's the most important person. Remember, the kid's the only one who can tell me what it's like to be them. Other people tell me what they observe, and I bring my experience, having done this for a long time, sometimes 2 or 3 times as long as the kid has been alive, which is kind of freaky, but besides that, right? So I will certainly listen. We'll go through the I am, but if the kid maybe really does need meds, I'll say, if you've got a mountain to climb, are you going to do it in your bare feet? Right? To climb a mountain, you need the right equipment. And I don't care how much equipment you need, but you've got a mountain to climb. It's your family, your friends, sports, religion, music, art, medicine, therapy, whatever it is. Medicine is just a piece of equipment so you can climb your mountain. It doesn't define you. And this is what's so important, because so many people think if they take medicine, it means I'm broken.
Right.
No, that's not it at all. We're making a small change. We're changing this biological domain. And then I might say to the parent, whichever one it is, so let's say we're thinking of Ritalin or something, okay? And it's really important, first of all, just to lay the foundation, right? A lot of people worry that if I give my kid Ritalin, they'll become addicted later. It's the exact opposite. Kids who do well in school usually don't need to come and see a child psychiatrist. A good grade is better than Prozac, is what I like to say.
Yeah,
right?
true.
Because the kid feels good. So that's an important thing, right? Good grade, better than Prozac. But let's just think about this kid for a moment, right? I'll say to them, or to the mom or dad, so tell me, when's the last time your kid was on Ritalin? They've never been on Ritalin. I'll say, okay, what's your favorite food? Let's see, well, I said, what's your favorite food? Pizza. Did you know that before you tried it?
Right. Yeah.
We don't know. You've had 9 years, 10 years, 11 years without Ritalin. Why don't we try a month or so with it? Let's just see what happens.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's an interesting approach. And I mean, you're doing much more than most psychiatrists do in terms of trying to get people to understand and see the whole picture. To be honest with you, I mean, most psychiatrists that I work with have, a quick meeting with the kid and then the parents, and, just will say, like, you need to, try this medicine. But you're taking in the environmental, you're doing a lot of perspective taking with them, which is, I think, very helpful.
Absolutely. Thank you for noticing that. It really is, because this is a real person, but they know that I really believe they're doing the best they can.
Yeah. And people need to hear that, because people do most of the time feel like they're inadequate. When
Yes,
they
they
come
do.
to my office and they come to David's office for
Sure,
divorce.
no
I
question
mean,
about it.
people feel like they're not doing good enough, and that they do most of the time feel like they need to change.
Right. But they can, if they don't like it. I mean, and again, I say, that's your I am.
Yeah.
Like, the best you can do right now is be depressed.
Yeah. Yeah.
The best you can do right now is be angry. The best you can do right now is be scared. I'm cool with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But let's understand why.
Yeah.
Let's
No, I
step
think this
back,
is,
look again.
Yeah, it's
Really-
very
it's
helpful
really
and
interesting,
really, really great.
And the example I gave was one that we live to a certain degree with one of
Really?
when
Yeah.
if you look, and we deal with that a lot in our first book. So
Yeah.
I know you've got a radio
Yeah, you
show
have to go do your
show.
show.
but so the next book is out in the fall. Do you
It's
have
going
a,
to be coming out in the fall. We're
Right.
working on the title.
okay.
Working on the title. So for audience members, if you're listening on Facebook, put in which one you think the nicest. Okay. So one of them is unleashing the power of respect, the I am approach.
Okay.
Okay.
The other is what's my I am? Unleashing the power of respect.
I like the first one better. Because I think
Okay.
people understand that first of all, unleashing is a powerful word, and
Yeah.
you have respect at the top. I think more people are gonna connect to that because they may not have heard the I am piece.
Right. Right.
But that's just
But what
me.
about,
Yeah.
no, that's great.
Yeah,
That's just-
we'll
What
let
about
you
this
know.
one?
We're gonna
We'll
post
do a
this.
poll.
We'll do
Okay.
a poll.
So, but how if people want to learn more about you in the meantime,
Yes.
find out when your book's going to come out. I know your books are on Amazon, all other e-platforms and so forth.
That's right.
Is there a website or something that folks can go?
drschrand.com. And that's SHRAN as in Nancy, D as in David. As my father used to say, when we crossed the ocean, we left the sea behind. So it's Dr. Schrand, DRSHRAND.com. Check it out. There's a bunch of links on there to the Dr. Joe Show, to Drug Story Theater, which I'd love to tell you about another time.
Yes,
It's
I would love to hear more about that.
really
too.
fun.
Yeah.
And then, just remember, Outsmarting Anger, 7 strategies to diffuse our most dangerous emotion.
I love it.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope everybody enjoys this, and we will see everyone next week. Okay, go ahead.
Can I just mention that
You
you
can
will be
whatever
on the
you
Dr.
want.
Whatever you
Joe
want.
Show? That you're coming on my show, right?
Yes, we're
We
so
are,
excited.
We are.
Yeah.
Not sure when that is. September? Is that?
I think it's in September. Yeah. Yeah.
think
We're
so,
excited
yeah.
to come on, and
It's-
hopefully we'll have,
We'll talk about our 5 core conversations for couples
and maybe
I-
some
that's-
bourbon.
and some bourbon.
And
Yeah.
some bourbon.
we have-
That's exactly it. I cannot wait. It's going to be
Sounds
great.
Thank you so
All
much.
right.
It was
Thanks so much.
I feel like it was just so great to meet you in person.
Zoom.
Thank you for doing the Zoom show. It was a highlight of my childhood, and thank you for coming
All
on
right.
tonight.
Peace out.
Thanks, folks.
Thanks again.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks, Joe.
Bye-bye.